So it's Sunday afternoon and we're getting ready for the market open on Monday. And one of the stocks that we're focusing on is the quantum computing company Rigetti. When it comes to AI or any of the innovation that's happening in technology today, a huge one of the sectors or small sector that has a huge focus is quantum computing. Let's take a look at the stock today. So we've had some trends we've identified, and we started covering this quantum stock back in October around $1 a share. If you guys ever want to catch up to date with the quantum and AI space, make sure to subscribe. We were able to make a run here with Rigetti that's during that time was about a 1,600% uptick. Now, we didn't capitalize on the full swing, but it was one of the best trades towards the end of 2024. And then we saw it sell back down to this $5 price point, bouncing on this $5 price point after NVIDIA's CEO said here that quantum computing is 15 years or 30 years away. And then they had another meeting at NVIDIA GTC back here in March where he said, oh no, it's actually, he didn't know that they were public. He didn't know it was going to have such a big effect. He says, we're opening our own quantum computing sector of our business. So he then, made that announcement. And since then, the computing company has been consolidating from left to right. Now, they're based out of Berkeley, California. Their financials is something we're going to get into. Their news, it's pretty good. And their chart has been fairly good as of recently. Now, it's actually funny because I remember, I don't know if you guys saw a video a while back, but I was helping my dad purchase some Rigetti stock. And my dad's not super, into stock. Like he's into stocks, but he's not like as on it. But when it comes to stocks, because he's got his things he does throughout the day. And so I'm talking with him and I'm telling him about this company Rigetti, and he gets in around $7 a share. He sells it then at around $11. Then he buys back in somewhere around $8 here. And then rallies, and now it's up to $12.52. And I'm getting ready to tell him, hey, maybe it's kind of looking like not such a bad time to sell. I mean, you've had a few really good trades here of about 60% in just a matter of 3 months. I think we're maybe looking for a sell here, Dad. So anyway, I want to preface this video with that. You see this resistance here at 1250. It has this trend that it's having right now. And we kind of mapped it out here. We said maybe it holds above this support when it was literally right here about 4 days ago. It was right up here. We said it's very overextended. Maybe it holds this support though at $11. Otherwise, we could see it sell back to 10 or even back down to $6.50. However, what we saw is that it did hold this support here on Friday, pushed back up after hours and then sold back down. It's still kind of at this support. So this is a strong resistance. So previous resistance right here at 1130, strong resistance. You just take a step back and you can see those levels at which it's been finding support there and also resistance. So previous resistance will act as support, and we see it break up above this level of resistance. And now the question is, can it hold here above this $11 range? Well, is that the right question? I guess the question is, if you're short term, you're looking at this on the short term, it does look a little overbought. It looks a little overextended in the near term. And a sell down here of, 5%, or what would this be? It'd be about, 5% down to here. A lot of people that are in the short term, they've already made 10, 20, or 30% or 60%, like my dad. And it would make sense to sell and maybe find a better entry. And then there's the people that are saying, well, I'm okay with a 5% drawdown. This is a company that we can go into more of why you would be okay with that. But then you look at the long-term trajectory and you're maybe saying to yourself, well, I could really see something along the lines of a recovery up into previous highs, something like this. In fact, this is the only quantum computing company that hasn't fully recovered since the Jensen comments. You could look at, QBTS over here, recovered fully. You could look at IonQ, it recovered almost fully, maybe not fully, but it definitely made a huge recovery. And then you look at RGTI, Rigetti, and it hasn't even come close. It's much further away. So if it's going to make that run, that would be a tremendous 80%. So the long-term holders maybe are like, they're okay with this storm, right? One thing to consider, RGTI, they have big institutional backing. So if you're familiar with Rigetti's history, NVIDIA is a big investor in the company. There is, according to NASDAQ, some large institutional holdings as of now from BlackRock. You got Vanguard and State Street. So the big players, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and what have you. And that's just indication that there's maybe some common outlook for the overall sentiment of quantum computing. And then you take another step back here, and that's cool. We got our virtual stock trading system. That's the second link or first link down below. If you guys want StockMate for free, you want to join us in our Thursday sessions and get a one-on-one session to me. Second link down below. Or you can go to cash2assets.com/trade now. So Rigetti Computing has a $3.4 billion market cap, and they actually just increased their net income recently to positive $42 million. So their revenue was still only at 1.47. So you might say, what gives? It's mostly likely to the grants that they're getting, to the government spending that they're receiving, and that's why a net income could be positive with the revenue so low. When you look at Rigetti's recent news, one of the big reauthorization acts that came out that was just recently passed here is this quantum bill. It's a $2.7 billion national quantum initiative from the US government. And they're saying we're going to invest more in quantum. We're going to make sure we are the leader. So what companies stand to benefit? You got Rigetti, and you're seeing that maybe show up in the financials with some of their purchases, some of their contracts. But on top of that, you could take a look at Rigetti's investor relations and look directly to the source at some of their news. And you can see that they're a pioneer full stack quantum computing here. They are in Berkeley, California, so some of the smartest minds in the world. And they have these different contracts that come out, these little contracts here and there, where maybe here it's a $5.4 million Rigetti-led granted Air Force Office Scientific Research Award. They're getting these research awards. Rigetti wins Innovate UK's quantum missions pilot capability. It's a $3.5 million Rigetti-led consortium aims to benchmark quantum computing. And whether it's, those types of contracts or government funding, they're getting money, they have runway, but they're still kind of, I guess, pre-revenue, right? So for a $3.5 billion valuation, the financials as of recently, to me, are not something that I look at and I say, wow, Rigetti stock is such a good buy right now. Now, it's $3.4 billion valuation, but again, revenue is only about 1.5 million. I mean, that doesn't justify. I know companies that are at $100 million market cap, like CTM, that are making $11 million per quarter, and they're still only at $100 million market cap. Rigetti's at 3.5 billion, and they're only making $1 million in a quarter. So the financials at this point, it's very much buying what could be, and we've talked about that various times. You're buying what could be, the potential of quantum. And so with AI and their partnerships, we can kind of jump into it. What is their quantum computer? Well, from kind of a product perspective, you could see how their quantum computer works. I would encourage you guys to just check out the YouTube channel too, because they have really good stuff there. But they talk about the QPU, their mixing chamber, and their fidelity that they're striving for, 99.9% fidelity. A good way to think of that is you might have a computer, right? A quantum computer, and you might have qubits. But if you have qubits, like imagine you have a garden, you could have a ton of trees, a ton of potato plants, but what if all the tomatoes are rotten? Then it's not going to be good, right? So in other words, you could have a bunch of qubits in a quantum computer, and some quantum companies say, we got thousands of qubits or what have you. But what's important is that the individual qubit is good. The individual qubit has very good fidelity, and you can see they're increasing their fidelity there, and 2-qubit gates there for 98.6% fidelity. And that's when you start to get into things like error correction and solving very complex problems. And that's why they have partnerships with NASA, and you got Oxford, MIT, and that's why they are on the distribution channels for AWS, Microsoft, and what have you, and why they are allowing people to test and get some experience using the quantum computing through the cloud via AWS or Microsoft. So, and you can see that there. If you go AWS and you check out Rigetti, you could see it here on Amazon's web service here. Rigetti superconducting quantum processors actually available here, the QPUs to tap into. So just keep that in mind. They are there on the sites of AWS, of Microsoft, and that's one of the key drivers behind a lot of their growth is going to be having those partnerships with Microsoft or with Amazon. So with that being said, at the recent moves, we're going to see if this level holds, if it bounces. And if you guys want to see us take advantage of those moves at market open, it's the second link down below for StockMate to join us in our daily live trading. While we have long term, we also do the short term as well each day at market open, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. And if you want to be there, second link below. If you want to join us in our 6-week intensive with Zoom calls and get our new Mercatus software here that has predictive analysis that is in beta, and you also have visualizing different markets that are emerging, then that's the first link in the description where you get StockMate for free. It includes the free t-shirt. It includes the full breakdown for the daily live sessions, but it also gets you 6 weeks of Zooms along with beta access to this. So that paired with a one-on-one call with myself, I would encourage you to check out the virtual stock trading system as it is closing tonight at midnight. So if you want to be there, it's the first link in the description. And there's also check your inbox if you're in StockMate, because there's a special discount for you if you're already in StockMate for our customers there, because we want you to get access to our new products and incentivize you for being a part of the community. So again, StockMate, second link, the virtual stock trading system, the first link down below. Hopefully I earned your thumbs up, guys. Let me know your thoughts on Rigetti. We'll be potentially trading it if it can hold this level here. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.